This is something that we've expanded into in about the last 6 months or so. Previously, we've been very focused on DoD and DOE requirements and helping companies meet compliance. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about other things as well. Okay, as I mentioned, that one I've already covered. Okay, this is the agenda. Provide the most current NIST updates. A lot of you are aware that there's, a lot been going on with NIST and 800-171, as well as with the CMMC final rule. Okay, key for DoD and DOE and other government agencies are those two. Okay, other compliance standards to enhance cybersecurity. We'll talk about that briefly. And when enhanced cybersecurity is not mandated, there are companies out there that are actually approaching us because they're not mandated to meet DoD compliance or anything like that, but they want to be able to ensure that they don't get ransomware, they don't have issues, and maybe they're not required to meet a compliance standard. We've got some tools and stuff that work on doing that cost effectively. We're also going to hit on some upcoming events and some special offers. Okay, first off, NIST updates. I think you're all, or most of you are aware that NIST SP800 171 Rev 3, it's been put out twice for public comment. The last close date was the 26th of January. Talked to Dr. Ross about this. My understanding from the last round of comments that they've got, I don't know the finals, but they will be issued, the next time it comes out, it will be final. There won't be any more release for public comment. Rev 3 will be final. Now, how does this affect everything? DOE, if you have DOE contracts, Department of Energy, they are regulated by 800-171. So it's probably going to kick in sooner under DOE than it might under DOD. Also, just to keep in mind, I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but NIST SP800 172, Enhanced Security Requirements, you can read the rest of it. That has to do with CMMC Level 3. And that is being updated as we speak. So there will be some publications on that out for public review probably in the next 3 or 4 months. Under CMMC, actually they announced that they were coming out on the 24th of December, and on the 26th of December they published the final rule to the Federal Registry for DoD. And CMMC 2.0, it's still linked to SP800 171 Rev 2 and to NIST SP800 172 in the event that you have to be level 3. Public comment period for it is going to close on February 26th. They gave a 60-day window. Compliance window is one of the things I want to communicate to you is everybody's been talking about this for some time, for probably years, that the final rule is going to come out on CMMC. Okay, it happened. Compliance window is closing fast. What you should be focused on right now is it's urgent that you get to the point where you're NIST SP800 171 Rev 2 compliant. Whenever they do decide to convert to Rev 3, there will be no wasted effort if you are Rev 2 compliant. There may be some requirements combined, and then there may be a couple of additional requirements, but there are no requirements in Rev 2 that would be abandoned. So, this takes a while to do. So don't, think, oh, I'll just wait till Rev 3 comes out and then I'm going to work on this. Or, you may find yourself no longer being a supplier or to the DIB or to the Defense Industrial Base. Other cybersecurity needs, we've had customers approaching us and we've been working with them under 27001 because some of you may need that. There are other requirements for automotive and other things we can potentially help in that. We've had companies, we do a lot of work with medical devices and other things, and we've had companies approach us needing assistance when they have hardware and software in their medical devices. And this is just to name a few. So if you have a cyber concern or question, I really encourage you to, make contact with us and ask, because either A, we may be capable of providing some guidance and assistance, or B, we probably know we're the right person for you to get a hold of. Okay, a little history for those that are new, but I think most of you already know this. Those standards for DoD and the minimum standards have been out since December. The 7012 DFARS or whatever clause was out since December 31st of 2017. They've pushed it about as far to the right as they can get away with. They're really starting to get into priorities because there's been a lot of increase in attacks, and many of these attacks have been in non-DoD industries, and still can impact national security, like food, fuel, automotive, medical, just to name a few. I think y'all remember the gasoline one that hit maybe 6 months ago or whatever out on the East Coast and shut pipelines down. Okay, one of the things that TMAC's been doing is we are part of NIST, and I am part of the cybersecurity working group as well as the steering committee for NIST and the like. We've been working on developing a system for people that don't necessarily need to meet DoD compliance. And what we've been doing is we've been using we have a way to evaluate on a cost, ease of application, and effectiveness, the 110 controls that are typically used to meet DoD or DOE compliance. And if you're not under any requirement to meet compliance right now, the way we work that is we work with you to cherry pick depending on what your needs are, which of the 110 requirements make the most cost-effective sense for you as a company to improve your cyber posture. And then we actually focus on putting those control measures in place to standard. Now, we do this for a couple of different reasons. One, that makes them effective. So, we're not just putting something in place that's not, that you're not getting the full effect out of. And the second thing is in the event that you do want to start working with the federal government or whatever the case may be, and you want to go all the way to full compliance, if we use the NIST guidelines and other things like that, it will set you up where you're already partially there. And if you do, like I said, decide to work with any of the federal government agencies, it doesn't have to be DOE or DOD. You're going to need to meet these minimum requirements, so then we can put in the additional steps when you decide to go that route. But this is just a top-level discussion of that. I'm going to show you a few things to kind of just give you kind of an idea of what we did. But in 30 minutes, I don't really, this is a longer discussion than that. So if this is something that you are interested in, please reach out. There'll be contact information shared at the end of this presentation. Reach out to me and let's schedule a one-on-one and let's figure out how to meet your needs. Okay, commonly found issues. I've been going out non-DoD, small manufacturers as well as DoD. These are a lot of the things I find. And I hate to say it, but there's been a lot in manufacturing across the board. There's been a lot of attacks and penetration and other things, and these can be devastating to a small manufacturer. The concept, expansion, utilization of DoD guidelines. Okay, this is kind of just a little bit more information on that. And, I mentioned the a la carte, selecting things a la carte, and it's based on cost, effectiveness, and should be ease of application. Ensure customers get the best value. That's really what TMAC's all about. We're about impacting you. So, whenever we do this, we're trying to make sure that you get the best value. And what I've been finding out is a lot of small manufacturers don't know what to do, so they do nothing. And then, you know, it's getting to be more and more often that when I get called in, it's already too late. They've already been hacked. So, you know, don't let that be you. And one of the things I do want to stress here is as I mentioned earlier, you may not have a federal contractor or DoD contractor, whatever the case may be. You may be working in pharmaceuticals. You may be working in food. You may be working in something else. And if your industry gets hacked or whatever the case may be, it can still have an effect on national security. And other government agencies like Homeland Security and other things are waking up to that, and they're starting to put requirements and other things in place. So you're going to see a lot of stuff change in the coming future by necessity. Now, you know, when we're doing things like this, we can use a lot of the stuff that we used when meeting compliance for DoD or DOE. You know, just helping you with your architecture, helping you with either, you know, enclaving important information, get yourself into some sort of a segregated or a layered network. I don't know how much you guys know about network architecture, but if you've got a flat network where everything's connected to everything and, you know, everybody can get to everything, somebody gets in your network anywhere, it doesn't take very long and they own your whole network. And they can very easily encrypt that. They can very easily ransomware you. They can pretty much, you know, take over your whole network and all your information. And a lot of people do not realize how easy that is to do. Some of these people, they get tools or whatever on the black web or whatever, the dark web, and, you know, it isn't like what it used to be. It doesn't take a super skilled hacker to do that. Somebody that went out and bought some tools or whatever else, you know, just a standard crook could really put you in a world of hurt if you don't have the right defenses. And, you know, one of the things that I continue to hit on is many small manufacturers, they're ignoring the problem. They're just kind of hoping it goes away. Well, it's not. Now, something I didn't put on this slide here, or whatever the case may be, but everybody's heard about AI and everything associated with AI and all that stuff. Well, bad guys have too. And essentially what they're doing is now they use AI or whatever else sometimes to generate these attack tools, and they can generate more effective, more advanced, harder to detect attack tools much, much quicker using AI. So that, you know, that really upped the game for people that are potentially going to give you a problem. Planning tools, you know, we go through, we figure out where you're at, where you need to be, you know, do some type of strategic analysis. And then, you know, a lot of times for small companies, it's a good idea to, you know, to find potential third-party providers that can help them tighten up their security. You just don't have the resources or the funds or whatever else to have someone full-time working on this. Provide low-cost, you know, NIST assessments to confirm ready status. You know, you can read all of the stuff, but we also are very up to date on what is happening both with NIST and DoD and DOE and the like. And as things change, we can help you with that. Right now, changes are happening extremely fast. Part of that is because of the political situation across the globe, and tensions are high. And if you read the news about Ukraine and Israel and others where there's actual hot conflicts going on and everything else, cyber attacks are usually the first thing that happens. So, you know, you may have already saw that in the news. If you didn't, look it up, and you're going to find that what I'm telling you is spot on. Okay, we're going to just take a look at a few things. I'm just going to give you some ideas of, I'll take one example. This right here gives you kind of an example across the board of the different requirements. Now, if, you know, over here, this right here is effective and it's easy. Okay, as you move this way, it's maybe a little bit harder, but it's very effective. Okay, these right here are, you know, not necessarily easy, but they're effective. Okay, over here, you know, this is probably the less effective, harder to do stuff that still fits in the government requirement. But essentially, this is a map of a lot of the key things that were put out. And what I'm giving you right now is kind of an overview of how this all plots out on a chart. I've got multiple charts doing this. I just used this one as an example. But the intent is you know, depending on what your threats and needs are, we can help you tailor a plan to figure out what makes sense for you. Now, this is kind of it in writing, you know, if you gave an idea. Okay, we've got a total score there, and then we, you know, that first score right there, just to give you an idea where it says score, if you had to be DoD compliant, there's a, when you go through, you do a gap assessment, okay, each of the 110 requirements have points assigned by DoD as to how important they are. If it's got a 5, it's considered very, very important. Okay, if you were to look at the first one right there, 3.1.1, it's very important. Okay, you know, cost, it's not high cost, it's easy to do, it's effective, but yet, you know, that, you know, depending on how you want this all evaluated and sorted or whatever else as we go through these different requirements, that's how we tailor make a custom solution for you. And, you know, many of you I know that are on this call have to be full DoD compliant, so we got to do everything. But some of you, you know, maybe you don't. Now, of the ones that do have to be DoD compliant, you may have what's called an enclave, where you have a small number of computers that meet full DoD compliance. Once you've got that in place and you've got your enclave defined as to, you know, and ready to meet DoD compliance, doing a partial implementation across the rest of your network, maybe you've got a commercial or you have a level 1 network, may be something to consider just so that you know, you don't get attacked in your soft part of your network. So, you know, imagine, you know, you implement it all 110 for your, you know, your level 2 enclave, but maybe on your commercial network or whatever else, maybe you only want to do certain items because they make sense cost effectively. I hope I'm communicating this effectively, but, you know, if you have questions, please schedule a one-on-one with me and we can get into this in great detail. The green ones that were on the last slide were the, you know, easy, effective, all that kind of stuff. The rest of this all corresponds to that chart where you saw, you know, a yellow zone or a blue zone or, you know, something of that nature, depending on how effective something is. I didn't really do a whole lot with the, I'm sorry, give me a second. I didn't do a whole lot with the last section, kind of pink-red section, because, I mean, you know, that one is kind of hard to do and not super effective. This is just to give you, you know, another way of looking at it. We went through and we did this as if I wasn't going to do anything else, what would I do? And, you know, I've got the must-haves, I got resilient, and I got compliant. And, you know, we have ways of measuring this compared to that, so that when we put controls in, we make sure that you're getting the biggest bang for the buck you can get. Again, work plans, you know, this is how we would go about it. Now, I've used SPRS score right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do long term, but even if you don't have to be DoD compliant or whatever the case may be, hey, it is a scoring system, and I can use that to effectively, even if you didn't have to be DoD compliant, I can use that scoring system to determine how you move the needle on your cybersecurity capability. I'm going to shift the focus now to upcoming events. On March 27th, we're going to have, essentially, we're going to have an all-day workshop at the, I believe it's at the TEC. Correct me if I'm wrong, Yesenia. But it would be at our TMAC Event Center, 1600 Pioneer Parkway in Arlington, Texas. And then I will, in the morning, I am planning to focus and give a much bigger update and, additional information on DoD and DOE compliance. 4 hours, there's going to be a lot of updates that come up because that's after the final, or after the input is given on the final rules for CMMC, and I'm hoping to have some, additional information there. The afternoon is going to focus more on other compliance standards, such as 27001, or if you don't really have a compliance standard you need to meet, but you want to tighten your cybersecurity to protect your company. It's going to be an all-day event. Charge is $25. I mean, when you go out there and select this, Yesenia can probably answer the questions better than I can, but you should be able to select if you want to just go to the morning for DoD, you want to go to the afternoon for non-DoD, or if you want to attend both. I think, this is, the intent is high value for your time, to get as much information across to you as you can. Anybody that's worked with cybersecurity knows that this is difficult. And, there'll be a lot of good information shared, a lot of stuff put out. So, I encourage you to block your calendars for March 27th if this is something you're interested in attending. I am putting a small charge on this at $25 just to cover foods and refreshment and all that other stuff. I just historically, have a small charge just so that we don't get stuck paying for a lot of food and nobody shows up. So if you're interested in going, there'll be a link in the chat if it's not there already, or contact me or TMAC or whatever the case may be, and we'd be happy to get you connected to that. For those of you that are interested, or those of you that are in Houston area or East Texas or whatever, there's going to be a big event on the 26th of April. And there is more information to come about that, but that's going to have cybersecurity awareness, IT and OT as well. I will be co-presenting down there with CMMC. CMMC is essentially one of the 18 NIST federal labs on cybersecurity, and we work closely together. They'll be bringing, they have a demonstration truck, training truck that they'll be bringing down there. I mean, there's going to be a lot of information put out in a short period of time. If you're available on the 26th, definitely block your calendars for that. Now, besides the cybersecurity focus on the 26th, it's going to be there's going to be experts down there as well from TMAC and other agencies about domestic supply chain resiliency, advanced manufacturing and technology, and the manufacturing workforce. So, this is going to be quite an event, and I recommend that if at all possible, you attend. Okay, this is something else. If you want, this is something you'd have to get with me on a one-on-one with, but we have just recently got some state funding, which allows us to, to provide approved cybersecurity work at a discounted rate. I mean, this still isn't free, and I don't want to use the word grant, but this does cut the cost down for expert assistance or whatever else in cybersecurity. But the best thing to do is, if this is something you're interested in, let's set up a one-on-one. Let's get together. Let's talk, and let's discuss what you need in more detail. But I did want you to be aware that there is some state funding to offset some of this cost available. Oh, by the way, here's my contact information if you want to take a picture of that, or TMACs.